All right, so today we have Kayla Malvaso, and she is a web designer. She works with social advertising, marketing for businesses, all kinds of things like that. So she's going to tell us a little bit about she started her own company and what she does a little bit with that. So thank you, Kayla, for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
So tell us exactly what you do.
So, I now own my own marketing company. I've been doing freelance marketing for the last 4 years, but due to the pandemic, that encouraged me to go off and start my own thing. And since we did lose a lot of our customers, of course, because people were just cutting marketing left and right. So, I started my own company last year, and I mainly focus on web design, paid social advertising. So, like Google ads, Facebook ads, any type of advertisement you need, and then also content creation. So I write copy for websites. I do articles, anything that you think of that needs words, I can do. And then I do a variety of other marketing things too, based on what small businesses need.
So what does a typical day look like for you in this career field?
So the cool thing is I get to work from home or anywhere that I choose. So every day can look a little bit different, but typically what I'll usually do is when I wake up, especially if it's the first Monday of the month, I usually use those as my planning time. So, I'll plan out my month or the next few months and see what's on the docket for clients, what pressing projects are due. And of course, I always check my email. So, checking email is probably the first thing most people do in their jobs. And that's the first thing I usually do. And then I can kind of plan my weeks. Every Monday, I'll sit down and be like, okay, these are the things I want to get accomplished. And that planning piece is so essential. From working from home, most people experienced this last year, but you need to have a plan. And that's always something that I always revert back to. So if I ever get sidetracked, I can easily go to my planning notebook and be like, okay, so this is what I need to get done. So that helps me stay on target, especially if you're like me and can be a little ADHD and get all over the place. That helps kind of make sure I focus on the right things. I also like, because I do have several clients, what I like to do during my days is I'll usually work on a certain client or a certain project for a block of time. So I'll block out certain hours to do those projects, and then that makes sure that I get things done in a timely manner. Since I do work from home, especially during the warmer months, if I feel like I'm hitting a wall and just getting in a funk, I'll pick up my computer and take it to somewhere nice. I love going to the beach and, doing like busy work out there or a nice coffee shop. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to manage your time and still have fun while doing it. So it doesn't feel mundane ever.
That's really great. So you, as for anyone who doesn't know, Kayla, you grew up here. You're from Princeton, but you actually live in Connecticut now, right?
Mhm.
So,
That's true.
so what do you think led you to this career path? Were you always like creative, interested in like web design, or what do you think kind of brought you to this
So
point?
that's actually really interesting because, I was always kind of creative growing up and I enjoyed arts and crafts and writing and things like that, but I never really thought of it as a career. I was a straight A student, and a lot of my teachers encouraged me to, hey, you have really good grades, so you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. And these are all great career paths. But when I went to college, I actually was on an athletic training, sports medicine career path, which is how I met my husband. But and I went to Virginia Tech for my master's. I did health promotion, and I had all intentions of being a physical therapist. But I ran out of money. School was very expensive, and I needed to pay off debt. So I got a full-time job in retail management, and so I did that for about 12 years. Loved it, but it was something that I never really felt like I found a career that I loved. And so a friend of mine, she kept trying to get me to come join her company. She's like, have a conversation. I'd love to have you on my team. She had done web design since college. I knew her from there. And I never really thought I could do that because I never went to school for it. It wasn't something that I had the skills that I thought could be developed into that. So it wasn't until I left retail management and needed a career switch. And it's really hard to start over. Like if you don't know someone in a certain field, it can be really tough to start from the bottom. And so eventually she roped me in and was like, here, just, come on board. We have a great position. You have the customer service experience, so we can develop anything that you don't already have. And so I took the chance, and it was actually an inbound marketing agency, which is different than your typical marketing. Usually when you think marketing, you think of advertisements or
Right.
commercials, things that interrupt the audience. So inbound marketing is different because it provides value for the the searcher. So say, for instance, you might come across something that says, hey, download this free ebook about whatever topic you can think of. It provides value for our customers without them even having to search for it. So it's a little bit of a different type of marketing. And that's what my foundation was in. And I just loved it because it was customer centric. And it was something that I already did. I could implement my skills that I learned in retail management. And since I had that management background, it really gave me a great structure to be able to learn and grow and develop the things that I needed to do. And so I kind of considered it as a paid internship with working with that company it was about 3 years I was with them. And I was just able to learn new ways to do things. I learned a little bit about web design. I learned social ads. I learned SEO. There were so many things I picked up. And then I kind of found what I enjoyed. So after doing that, I was like, okay, so these are the things I'm really good at. And this is what, if I ever start my own company, I would love to do. And that's what I did last year. So I took the things that I was strongest in and I decided to pursue it full time. So here I am.
I think that's really good to know too, that even though your educational background wasn't in this field, you can still do training and find things to help you prepare for that. So if a student was interested in that field, they could go and train and I guess major in that field in college. But it's also neat to see how people, still can do different jobs and evolve and then end up in that position. That's really neat. What do you think is most challenging about your career?
So honestly, this answer is probably a little bit different now than it was probably a few years ago, but it's really hard to source clients and maintain clients because obviously with, COVID happening last year, one of the first things that most companies decided to cut was marketing because,
Right.
when it comes down to paying your employees or having a marketing team, that's the first thing that can go. They're like, hey, we can try to do it ourselves. Unfortunately, that's not great for me, but 2021 is definitely seeing that, marketing is very important and companies need that to be able to grow. And once you kind of, make a relationship with the clients, it's a lot easier to, retain them because they value you as a member of their team. But I would definitely say that's probably the most challenging thing. So you have to be a go-getter. You can't just, sit behind the computer and wait for clients to come to you. You have to really go out there. Sometimes it's making, cold calls, sending emails to hundreds of people, but you have to do a little bit of legwork to make sure that you have consistent income flow.
Right. Social skills, very important. Sure. What would be one of the rewarding aspects about your job you could tell the students?
So especially when it comes to web design, because I know that's the most exciting thing for everyone. I love being able to reveal a website or any type of work to a client and just have their minds blown, like them just being so excited about how it turned out. Because usually when they come to me and we talk about their plans, they have a specific idea they want in their mind, but they might not know how to really convey it to someone because, we're the marketing experts. They don't know much about marketing. So for them to be able to, share that vision and for me to be able to create something that makes them extremely happy it's such a rewarding feeling. And then also if they, stick with me long term, like being able to see the growth in their company, it's amazing to, sit back and say, hey, I had a hand in that. So it's a constant, just gratification that you're doing something that helps other small businesses grow. And that's a really good feeling.
I'm sure that's really neat. Give us some advice for high school students, whether it's just advice for life in general, or maybe advice if they wanted to pursue a career in with something with computers or advertising.
So you touched on this a little bit earlier, but when it comes to like choosing degree, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I go to college. And so, I wish I would have known this beforehand because college is really expensive. So if you feel like you don't know what you want to do yet, I always encourage people, I'm like, take classes, take prereqs at your local community college. And so that way you can figure out what you want to do. And then you can spend more money on a higher education, at whether it's a prestigious school or somewhere else. But that kind of helps set the groundwork. You can save a lot of money and you can figure out what you want to do along the way. I wish I would have done that because I wouldn't have nearly as many student loans, but that's something that, growing up, you think, community colleges, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go somewhere else, but it's not a bad thing at all. And a lot of times when you're looking for a job, they don't care where you went to school. Like there's very few places that want you to have the top schools on your resume. They just care that you have a degree. So don't put so much pressure on yourself to, have everything right from the get-go. Like you're 18 years old, you don't know what you're going to do in the next 10, 20 years, and that's okay. And then another thing I wish someone would have told me is, embrace your hobbies. If there's things that you probably do now that you are not thinking of as a career, But if you love it, if it's something you do on a regular basis, find ways that you can use that in a career. So if you love photography or design or whatever it is, reach out to other people that are in that field, see what they're doing, see if you can shadow them, or maybe get an internship, because that's a really great way to open up things that you may have never thought of. For me, I loved writing and I loved photography growing up, but I never saw that as a career. And I really wish I had those mentors that could help me develop those tools along the way, instead of having to wait years later and say, oh, that's how I can do this.
Right.
And especially for marketing, this is something that if you are like me and didn't go to school for it, there is a ton of free classes and courses that you can take online, completely free, that you can do and get certifications. So never stop learning. The more you can consume education-wise, the better it'll make you feel with confidence and when you go to apply for that job or even start your own company. So
I think that's excellent advice. Very well said. And we want to thank you, Kayla, for talking with our students today and just giving them a little information about your career. And we thank you so much.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.